Now, Phil Foden's form has put him back in the England squad, and he's not the only big name returning to the fold. We'll look at who's in and who's out next. A little bit out of the ordinary, and it's all to do with Erling Haaland's favourite drink. But before that, though, let's take a look at England. And Thomas Tuchel has brought Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden back into his squad for the games against Serbia and Albania. Our football correspondent Rob Dorset has more.
Yeah, two stellar names back in the England squad. I don't think there's any huge surprise that Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden are back in. Such has been their extraordinary form for their clubs in the last month or so. But when you hear the England manager speak about each of them, it's pretty clear that he sees them playing slightly different roles in his England setup.
Jude comes back as a number 10 position. I think that's his best position, and I think one of his key strengths is to score from this position. And he has the ability to arrive and to score goals that a number 9 would score. He played now lately for Dortmund, where I see him the strongest. I think he's close to the opponent's box, maybe a mix between a 9 and a 10. I think the main thing with Phil is that he gets a role in the central part of the pitch.
So no real surprises that Bellingham and Foden are back in, but there were plenty of surprises in Thomas Tuchel's midfield selections. Adam Wharton finally gets a chance to impress him. Tuchel said it's the third time he's tried to call the Crystal Palace midfielder up, and the first time he's been fully fit and able to do so. And I don't think anybody saw the call up for Alex Scott, Bournemouth's 22-year-old midfielder, who impressed so much in the Under-21s European Championship victory in the summer. Again, Tuchel sees them playing slightly different roles. Interestingly, though, he's only got one recognised number 9 in his squad, Harry Kane. What happens if Kane gets injured? I think what we learned today from the England head coach is that if Kane isn't available, he might go for a false 9 or somebody playing slightly out of position. Marcus Rashford, Phil Foden, Jarrod Bowen, Anthony Gordon, if he's fit, were all mentioned as possible replacements.
Well, thanks very much to Rob for that. But the two gents just over there behind your shoulders, guys, Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, they're back in. This whole Bellingham thing, was he in, was he out? Are we happy with the decision? He's back in the squad?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
it seems like such a ridiculous conversation, doesn't it?
I mean, it was a topic that obviously had to be addressed last time, but a fit, firing Jude Bellingham is maybe just past Harry Kane is the next name on the sheet. Look at him, what he done in the last competition and how we relied so heavily on him as well. Listen, when he's at it and he's fit and he's on song, then there's not many better in the world. And it was just getting him right, getting his mindset right, which I think the manager dealt with that really well.
Yeah.
He's getting game time now, and it's about him getting back in the frame now and getting him in the right space for what's going to be a great chance for England in the next competition.
It feels like a weird thing to say as well. Do you think, Rob, that he'll go back into that England side and almost feel like he's got something to prove almost?
Not particularly to anyone within the squad, but I think he'll go out and want to be the best version of himself and go out and demand the best off everybody else. He's kind of one that you're looking at if you walk into Real Madrid and demanding more off other people. Walking into England isn't going to be that much of a shift. So I think you look at the last squad when he wasn't in it. He hadn't played a lot. Had obviously had his shoulder injury. He's played about 4 different positions already for Real Madrid this season. So coming back in and finding a role for him, I think Thomas Tuchel's got to find a way for him to fit in, for Foden to fit in, for Saka to fit in, for Cole Palmer to fit in. You've got all these different options. For Jude Bellingham to be in that team isn't the issue, it's how it works with everyone else.
Well, I mean, as you say, it's a plethora of players in that number 10 role that we've got there. Tuchel saying he sees Bellingham as the number 10, but then you've got, Foden, Palmer, Morgan Rogers as well, all who will be looking to try and make that role their own. How do you make that work?
Well, I think, I'm going to go against what Rob's saying. I think that there is a pressure for him to go in there and perform. I think what the manager's shown in the first few meetups is that no one's guaranteed a place. If you're not performing well, no one deserves just to be here. You can see that by the way that he's called players up into the squads and giving them game time and having a little look around everyone. So I think Jude's got to go in there knowing that, listen, if he's on it, then it shouldn't be a problem. But there'll be certain games where Thomas Tuchel will look at it and go, well, I think are we going to be best suited off by playing one number 10 or two number 10s in this one, or an 8 and a 10? Because listen, there'll be games where we're going to have the majority of the ball and we're going to need players advance to that. And then when we come up against top opposition, the midfield area is so important, especially in the international scene, that they're not going to want to get overrun.
Yeah, well, midfield is really important, but defence as well. And Bournemouth, Alex Scott is in for the first time. We'll get your take on that in just a moment, but let's see how his teammates welcome the news today.
Look, my brothers, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for everything. Obviously, it's been a good season so far. Obviously, a very proud moment for me. Yeah, I can't wait, and I want to say thank you to all of you for making it happen. Yeah!
That is great to see. I mean, Rob, talk to me. You know, memories of that first, England senior call up.
I didn't have to do a speech, thankfully. It was one that I remember playing. I was playing for Norwich at the time, and it was a lot of talk and a lot of waiting, and I got wind of it and got word that it would be announced, and it was used to be after the games on the Saturday. But don't tell anyone. And I took that.
Who's telling you this? Is this your agent?
Oh, this was the manager of the team.
The manager of the team?
Yeah, the manager. They managed to get the word from England, and so they said, don't tell anyone, to the point where I was in the tunnel and players were asking me before the game, and I still said I don't know, and I was like, so I took it so literally. I was like, and then at the end of the game I just go, yes, and it was just such a relief to get it out, and then to go there and you realise how much of a shift it is to go and do international football and to fly back the following day, and then I think we landed at 4 a.m. on a Thursday, and you're playing on the Saturday. What's going on? You're all over the place for the game on the Saturday. So it's such a shift in terms of intensity, in terms of everything on the pitch, in terms of off the pitch. It's complete transformation in your life.
I've always been intrigued about how they get your phone number if it's the actual manager calling you up. And two, does it just come through as an unknown number and you just have to pick it up and presume that it is the manager on the phone?
I never got quite there, only in terms of getting dropped from the squad.
You don't want that phone. No, you don't want that one. You don't want that one. Now, Steve, speaking of England as well, Rob was mentioning earlier on, only one recognised number 9 in that squad. Are we over-reliant on Harry Kane? And I guess the biggest question for me, where's Danny Welbeck?
Yeah, well, that is, if you're looking like for like, in terms of Harry Kane at the moment, where he's at, his mind frame and the way he's performing, and he's looking after himself 100%. But if you're looking at someone that's absolutely on form for their club, week in, week out, he's been in that international scene before, admittedly it's been a number of years, but he's playing, again, someone that's looking after his body, and the club are looking after him well with his training regime. He's firing on all cylinders. No disrespect to Ollie Watkins, that's probably underperforming from his standards at Aston Villa. You've got to look at Danny Welbeck. I can see where the new sort of England regime is going, and you don't really want to fall back. But if Danny Welbeck is still firing throughout the season, and you need someone that's going to come on and replace Harry Kane in certain games, then he'd be the next one in line, surely.
Well, you're looking at it saying, well, one thing Thomas Tuchel can't do is really ignore it for too long, and you just carry on doing that. Danny Welbeck, I know he doesn't. He does sit down, just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually comes next summer, if you've scored 20 goals in a season, then really, and it's going to be change of the squad sizes and stuff like that. Having that extra centre forward will be key, and a man in form is a man in form, regardless of the age.
I'm all for it. I want to see Welbeck back in there. Well, from England to...
2 competitive games before the World Cup. Of course, qualification has already been assured. The main talking points being the recall of Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden. Let's cross live to Rob Dorset, who is outside Wembley for us. Hi there, Rob. Good afternoon to you. So, Bellingham and Foden back. I guess it would have been a much bigger story had they not been included in this squad. But they're back, and Tuchel was clear about exactly what they bring to England. So, how will he utilise them?
Well, that's the key question, isn't it? Because we've talked incessantly about all of the options that Thomas Tuchel has in terms of number 10s or players that prefer to play in number 10, as well as Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden. You've got Cole Palmer to come back from injury. You've got Morgan Rogers, who's been playing there so well for England of late. You've got Eberechi Eze. You've got Morgan Gibbs-White, who misses out on this squad, by the way, after Foden and Bellingham returned. And so there are an awful lot of options there. And Thomas Tuchel has been pretty clear that he's not going to give people a place just because they've got a big name and a big pedigree. It has to be a combination of pedigree and form that they're showing. So there's no doubt that Bellingham and Foden are bang on form right now for both of their clubs. They've been outstanding. But how do you use them both together? Can you play them in the same pitch? Can they play alongside each other? Tuchel was pretty clear that Bellingham is a straight number 10 who plays in a very advanced role. He'll score goals inside the 6-yard box. Phil Foden is a little bit more withdrawn. And so he was quite clear on what he sees as Phil Foden's role when playing for England. And have a listen, because it doesn't involve him playing on the wing anymore.
Where he played now lately for Dortmund was where I see him the strongest. I think he's close to the opponent's box, maybe a mix between a 9 and a 10, close to the opponent's box. For me, Phil scores and assists more from the 18-yard box, where he scored against Dortmund. He's on the half turn, then he assists, he's in the pockets. So I think the main thing with Phil is that he gets a role in the central part of the pitch. I don't see him as a winger at the moment, and maybe not anymore. He should have a central role. I think that brings out his strengths the most. We talked about this already with him.
Rob, let's just stay in the forward positions. Is there a concern that Harry Kane is the only out-and-out striker?
I think there is amongst some of the England journalists. I think there may be amongst some of the England supporters as well, but clearly not from the England head coach. I mean, look, he made it clear that Ollie Watkins is struggling with a knock, and so he didn't feel it was right to call him up. But it didn't seem to ever be on his radar that he might call up another striker. And Danny Welbeck, of course, has been flying for Brighton so far this season with 6 Premier League goals. Whilst he was under the wide consideration, I don't think it was ever likely that he was going to be called up at the age of 35 later this month. And I think Tuchel made it pretty clear today that it's almost deliberate, I think, that he's only gone with one striker in this squad. I think he's desperate to try, now that qualification is secured, some like a false number 9 or some of the other players who can play up top, in his opinion. That includes Jude Bellingham. It includes Marcus Rashford, who we know has been used as a striker of both Manchester United and Barcelona. It includes Jarrod Bowen, who's played there for West Ham as well. And it also includes Phil Foden, that we've just been talking about, who Thomas Tuchel believes could be a false 9 and get in behind in maybe some of the deeper, the more advanced positions, I should say, rather than the ones that Harry Kane picks up. So no, the England coach has done it deliberately. He's not concerned at all about the lack of options up top, and I think he's relishing the idea of trying to try some of the other guys there.
And what
So that's the England boss talking about the potential of him being England head coach beyond the World Cup next summer. It feels, though, that this is a really big international camp for him and for the players. I think if you're a player in the Premier League or elsewhere, playing well, not injured at the moment, feel you're playing quite well, and you've not been included in this squad, it feels like you're a long way off, probably, making that World Cup squad next summer, because there are only 2 friendly matches after this. These are the final 2 competitive matches that Thomas Tuchel and this England side will play before the World Cup finals in North America starting in June. So it feels like a big test. It feels like a big opportunity for some and a big load of pressure for others. And I think from the England manager's point of view, he's expecting a big show from those players. He's made some experimentation. He's tried quite a few things out. There was one phrase that stuck with me in this news conference today, and it was Thomas Tuchel saying to his players, "Now's the time to deliver and start trying to impress me." He said, "It's now time for proof of concept." Make of that what you will.
Oh, okay. Yes, we will maybe analyse that more in depth and in detail as the months go on. Thank you very much indeed, Rob. Yeah, so as Rob was saying, along with the return of these 2 here, a first call-up for Bournemouth midfielder Alex Scott. The announcement went down very well with his club teammates.
Look, my brothers, I just wanted to say thank you for everything. Obviously, it's been a good season so far. Obviously, a very proud moment for me. Yeah, I can't wait, and I want to say thank you to all of you for making it happen.
Oh, very pleased for him. No, I think he has been playing very well. Also, I suppose, no, the good performance with the under-21s on the summer has been also very valuable, and very happy for him, and also happy for the club, because it's always in an English club to have someone representing your country. I think it's good, especially for him, but also for the club. Yes, everyone was very excited. He had the classical corridor we give for the special occasions, and now he obviously was very happy. Yes.